GoForThe2.com week one college football selections. We're back. It's going to be a very abbreviated video. But again, you want all the information. Tune into Carver and Lee every week, Monday through Friday, Sports Grid Radio Network, Sirius, channel 159, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern. We're going to break down everything throughout the week. And then college football today, every Saturday, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern, we get you prepped. We get you ready for kickoff. Everything you want to know about. Top 25 battles, under the radar games, group of five, prop bets, best bets. We have it covered on Carver and Lisi, and then college football today. I'm going to give you the top 25 battles as I have my Extend t-shirt on. Extend, extend, extend. If you listen to the show, you know the saying. Jump right into it. Like I said, abbreviated breakdowns. We'll cover them throughout the week. We'll also cover them on Saturday on College Football Today. Let's jump right into the big matchup, Georgia and Clemson. Georgia has 7 of the last 8 in the series. Last time they played was a couple of years ago. Georgia did get the outright win as a 3-point dog, 10-7. They sacked DJU 7 times, also got the pick 6 to the upset win over Clemson and Dabo Swinney. Dabo and Clemson started very slow last year, opened as an 11.5-point favorite over Duke and lost to Riley Leonard and the Blue Devils by double digits. They lost 4 conference games for the first time since prior to 2014. They did rebound. They won 5 games down the stretch against teams like Notre Dame and Kentucky, respectively. They games by an average margin of victory of 10.6 points per game. Cade Klubnik, 19 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, needs to be lights out in terms of this matchup and push the limit against the Georgia defense. Georgia defense and secondary elite, holding opposing offenses to only 175 passing yards per game, and their quarterback, Carson Beck, is right there with Dylan Gabriel in terms of the top spot to potentially win a trophy. Carson Beck last year, 72% of his passes in terms of completions, over 3,940 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. They get the benefit now of having Florida transfer running back Trevor Etienne come into that lineup. They're balanced. They can run it and they can throw, and they're going to put pressure in regards to Clemson's defense in this matchup. Again, the 5 months of preparation, I still think benefits Clemson in this ballgame. They need to force turnovers and make it a fourth quarter game, just the way Georgia Tech did this past weekend against Florida State. Again, you're talking about the team in Georgia, the number 1 ranked third down offense and defense in all of college football. They converted 55% of their opportunities. That was tied with Jaden Daniels and LSU, and they held opposing offenses right in the area, about 25%. In terms of third down defense, that was number 1 in the country as well. Going to be very difficult. I think Georgia wins, but I'll take the points in terms of the week 1 matchup with Dabo Swinney. His back is against the wall. Clemson needs to rebound and prove that they're for real, especially with Florida State losing in terms of week 1. I'll take Clemson plus the 13.5 points in this ballgame, even though the game is in Atlanta, basically a home game for the Bulldogs. Another big matchup takes place in regards to Florida and Miami. Both coaches are on the hot seat. You have Billy Napier, 11-14 overall in Gainesville. You also have on the flip side, Mario Big Chest Cristobal, 12-13 in regards to South Beach. This was a team in Miami that started fast. You know what happened in regards to the Georgia Tech game. Terrible coaching decision cost his not just that ball game, but the following week against North Carolina, in which they lost 41-31. They do have the benefit now of Cam Ward that comes over from Washington State, stepped up, played it very well in terms of spring ball game, completed 19 of 23 passes, 243 yards. Damian Martinez, 1,000-yard rusher from Oregon State, comes over as well. They're very physical in terms of the offensive line, but again, still a new offensive scheme for Cam Ward. It's a new talent coming in there for Mario Big Chest, and you're talking about a team in Miami and the Hurricanes that were just 2-4 on the road. They're going into the Swamp, very difficult place to play. 9.5 win total, expectations through the roof. And I actually think Graham Mertz is the more complete quarterback heading into this matchup. Why? Because he's played in terms of Florida's scheme. He understands talent, and he was very good last year. 72% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Again, Billy Napier on the hot seat. You get the home cooking with the swamp. I'm going to take a shot. Not only that, Billy Napier, even though he's 11-14 in regards to his tenure in Gainesville, he's 9-4 at home. 9 of those wins have come at home the past couple of years. Like I mentioned, you talk about Miami 2-4 on the road last year, and they lost those games by an average margin of defeat of 9.6 points per game. Give me Florida in the mild upset over Miami in this ball game. I think it's high scoring, though. I think both offenses will be able to move the football. I think Florida does win 30-24 over the Hurricanes. Saturday night, Texas A&M and Connor Wegman taking on Marcus Freeman and Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard coming over from Duke. He almost beat Sam Hartman and Notre Dame last year. There were 5.5-point dogs. They had Notre Dame on the ropes before Sam Hartman leads the miracle comeback with 30 seconds left. Notre Dame wins, and they get the cover as a 5.5-point favorite. But you look at this matchup. We know about the expectations in regards to Notre Dame. They're minus 170 to potentially make the college football playoff. Last year, Sam Hartman was brought in to be that guy. He only had 2 games where he threw for over 300 yards. The mobility, in my opinion, of Riley Leonard could be the difference in terms of this matchup. Coupled with the fact I'm just not a buyer of Connor Wegman. I've seen Connor Wegman struggle against SEC and better defenses, notably Auburn last year and 2 years ago when he was a freshman. I know he gave way to Max Johnson. That offensive line still is good for the most part, but I'm not buying into Mike Elko in terms of year number 1. We've seen this line flip now. Notre Dame was a 1.5-point favorite. They're now a 2.5-point dog. I think Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame are the more complete team. I'll take a shot with Notre Dame on the road. Not only that, Marcus Freeman straight up 10-4 over the past couple of seasons on the road or on a neutral field site. Give me Notre Dame mild upset over Texas A&M. Another big matchup, you got Penn State, West Virginia. Last year, we saw Penn State struggle for much of the regular season as it relates to the passing game. Drew Aller brought in, again, to take over for Sean Clifford and actually elevate this offense in regards to the passing attack. He did it against mediocre competition, but against 3 losses last year, Ohio State, Michigan, and the bowl loss to Ole Miss, Drew Aller completed less than 50% of his passes. He went 43, 42, and 45% in 3 of those losses. However, the one game that Drew Aller did break out, week number 1 against Neil Brown and the West Virginia Mountaineers. His best performance last year was 323 yards. Week number 1, he stepped up with 3 touchdowns. I think he steps up week number 1 in the new offense. Penn State was a 10.5-point favorite. They're now an 8-point favorite on the road. A lot of people buying in to how Neil Brown and West Virginia are in season openers. It's a rivalry game. West Virginia is deserving to cover that 20.5-point number last year before James Franklin ran in that touchdown with about 10 seconds left to give Notre Dame the cover. I still think that in this matchup, it comes down to defense. Tom Allen takes over for Manny Diaz. This was a top 5 unit that held opposing offenses last year to less than 100 yards rushing and less than 3 yards per rush. That is the matchup going up against West Virginia. I think it will be close early, but in the end, I do feel that Penn State covers the 8-point number Saturday afternoon, noon p.m. in Morgantown over the Mountaineers. We're going for 2 more games, Texas and Colorado. This line opened up at 35.5. It's down now to 32.5 in multiple books. We understand how Norvell coached last year. He went toe-to-toe with Colorado, almost won that matchup as a double-digit underdog. He's basically catching almost 5 touchdowns in this matchup. Texas has Michigan on deck week number 2, but this comes up to the secondary for Colorado State. I think they're up against it in terms of Quinn Ewers in this offense. You and Isaiah Bond and those playmakers for Texas. I know that Michigan's on deck, but if I'm Sark, I still want to work in that young talent Let's not forget, too, Texas last year held opposing offenses to 82 rushing yards per game, 2.8 yards per carry. That was still a weak point for Colorado State. I don't think they're going to be able to run the football. That'll put pressure on their offensive line, especially in third down situations. I think Texas has too much team speed, and I think they rout Colorado State. I'm laying the 32.5 with the Longhorns. Big matchup Sunday night. USC, Lincoln Riley, Miller Moss, and LSU. You got Garrett Nussmeier going up against Miller Moss. Miller Moss, 372 yards in terms of the bowl matchup, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. We know about the defense. They allowed well over 150 yards on the ground. Opposing offenses and well over 4.5 yards per carry. We know about the physicality of LSU. That offensive line, Will Campbell, and those bookend tackles. Look for LSU to pound the football. Even though new defensive coordinator, I think in terms of the physicality, offensive defensive lines, even though LSU was one of the worst defenses in the conference last year in terms of the SEC, they have too much talent to go against USC, laying now a 4-point number. Look for Kyron Lacey, CJ Daniels to step up. I think Nussmeier outduels Miller Moss, laying 4 with Brian Kelly in year 3. Great head coach, especially on the road, over a 700 winning percentage over the last 5 years. Give me LSU minus the 4 over USC. Those are the picks. We'll go through them yet again. Talk about week number 1. We like LSU over USC. I like Penn State over West Virginia. I'm going to take Florida plus the points over Miami. I'm going to take the points in terms of Clemson over Georgia. Notre Dame plus the points over A&M. Those are your picks. I'll put them up on the website. Have a great week, everyone. I'll see you on the radio side and the TV side. We're just getting started. College football is the best, baby.